everybody, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is your Collider Movie Talk crew. First up, senior producer Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. And we were just sitting around, me and Schnepp, discussing 4-3 defenses, zone blitz packages, and things like that. He's got a lot of insight into football.
That's right.
Right. Also here, it's writer-director Jon Schnepp.
Yeah, I was just explaining to Campea, kind of trying to school him a little bit on, like, when you have a 4-3 down, you got to move the scrimmage line up and make sure the ref is, like, not looking at the butt of sien. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? You actually weren't far off from making a little bit of sense there, actually.
The Bunacenis at the end, he lost it. Lost it with Bunacenis.
The Bunacenis.
And also here, it's Kristian Harloff.
I'm going to see Gem and the Holograms tonight.
Woohoo!
Jealous?
Wow. Hey, listen, folks, as happens sometimes, after the show notes were all done, a couple of pieces of movie news dropped. We're going to get to those here quickly first. First up is this. The Academy has just officially confirmed that the host of the next Academy Awards will be Chris Rock. Now, if you'll remember, Chris Rock also hosted the event back in 2005, which was an utter failure, but he did host a thing in 2005. Schnepp, your thoughts on Chris Rock hosting the Oscars?
I look forward to seeing Chris Rock host the Oscars. I think he's really funny. I can't remember 2005. That's too long ago as far as for the Oscars. It just comes and goes. But I do remember the last two Oscar hosts were not that much fun. So I'm looking forward to someone bringing some comedy and humor, and that's something that Chris Rock can definitely bring. So I'm all for it.
Kristian?
I'm all for it because Chris Rock is a great comedian, and I think and I think he's even said the first time he approached it was more like almost like a roast, and for the Oscars that doesn't work. I'm hoping that this new set is different, and he kind of learned off what he did maybe wrong last time. He's that kind of comedian, but he's going to be better than Doogie.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think Chris Rock is a good comedian. I think he is a Mount Rushmore comedian. In my personal opinion, just me, I put him in my top 5 best comedians of all time. I can watch that dude like just sit down and eat dinner and talk, and I'll find it funny. I don't know if you ever saw that one special that Jerry Seinfeld did, where it was like just these 4 comedians just sitting in 4 leather chairs talking, and it was Seinfeld, Chris Rock, it was Louis C.K., and I'm drawing a blank on who
Mark
the fourth
Ellis.
one. And Mark Ellis, yeah. But I mean, I could just listen to Chris Rock just talk. The stuff he can riff off the top of his head is amazing. I'm not excited about this announcement, though, for a couple reasons. One, like I said, he hosted in 2005, and I thought he dropped the ball. Now, it wasn't James Franco bad. Right. It was not Ellen DeGeneres bad, but I thought he dropped the ball. I'll be honest, I'm not even a fan of Jimmy Fallon, but I was kind of thinking Jimmy Fallon might do a pretty good job. But by far, I've wanted Kevin Spacey to host the awards. Like, the dude can do it all. Sing, dance, he's hilarious. He's got a master class of knowledge of Hollywood history in his head. I just thought it would have been really cool to see him. But they're going with Rock, and I don't know. We'll just see how it goes.
I would have liked to seen The Rock do it. Honestly, a guy.
How about Rock and The Rock?
But a guy who's got that type of energy, and a guy who has been known to save certain franchises, maybe he could save the Oscars.
Right.
But like he's got that kind of energy and knows how to work a live crowd. He's done it many times. And he's just a likable dude. I think eventually The Rock would be a great host.
It was funny because I remember I was at Not Cinema Score. What was that? The big festival. CinemaCon, thank you, in Las Vegas a couple years ago. And, you got 5,000 theater owners, studio execs, and all that kind of stuff, and The Rock comes on stage. He starts talking about, I think he was talking about the DC Cinematic Universe, and he's going to be in it. And he said, I made some demands. And, Kevin Tsujihara, who's the head honcho over at Warner Brothers, The Rock own that on. It's just like, you sit your ass down, Tsujihara. I'll smack that candy ass all the way. And he started going into his rockisms.
Yeah.
Just brought the house down.
He did it again at D23 when he came out, too.
That's
it was
right,
like D23, the panel was starting to fall asleep, and he came out, and everyone was just electric. It was Electric Man Sports.
Well, maybe next year. They got Chris Rock, then followed up with The Rock.
The Rock. Yeah. And then just the year after. I think that would be interesting. All right, the second thing that happened before we get to our main topics today is that, one of the biggest soap operas in the history of how is this movie getting made? The Natalie Portman film, Jane Got a Gun. We've been talking about this film for years. Like 7 or 8 different cast changes. The director walks off set on the first day of filming. They bring in somebody else. It causes this chain reaction of all these other actors coming and going. First trailer finally dropped today. Kristian, you had a chance to just watch it. What did you think about it?
It's so funny because this movie was like in my most anticipated movie of 2013. It was in my list. And it's finally getting a trailer now. And I love Gavin O'Connor, by the way, who directed Joel Edgerton in Warrior, which is a very underrated movie, a movie that I loved. And Natalie Portman back, and it's a Star Wars prequel reunion. You got Edgerton and Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I didn't even put
Was
those
Joel
pieces
Edgerton
together.
in
Yeah, he
it?
was Uncle Owen.
He's like the main dude.
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's right.
Yeah. So
This guy raises Luke.
Yep.
but the trailer itself, it's okay. I'm sure that I could be blown away maybe when I'm seeing. But what's the movie that we just talked about recently with Fassbender and the
Macbeth?
No, the Western that came out. You
Oh,
loved and I loved.
Slow West.
Slow West.
Yes.
It looked like a lesser version of that.
Wow.
The trailer did, and I loved Slow West. So I hope that it's great. I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, I thought the trailer wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think when I watched the trailer, did it blow me away? No. It felt like they were almost going for a Tarantino style kind of trailer. And to some effect, nothing in it that blew me away, but I see potential in it actually quite a bit. Portman looks like she's going to be really strong in it. Joel Edgerton looks like he's going to be really strong. At first, I didn't even realize that was Ewan McGregor, and until he came up in the second scene, I'm like, oh, and he actually looked. Like I said, the trailer showed me potential, not enough to get me super wowed about it, but enough to make me go, okay, yeah, I'm curious about this film. All right, now let's get on to the actual main topics of the day.
Well, the fallout from Monday's ticket launch of Star Wars The Force Awakens continues. On the heels of server crashes, delays, and frustration, comes word that IMAX is reporting that the film has set a new record. While The Dark Knight Rises, The Hunger Games Catching Fire, and The Avengers sold around $1 million in advance ticket sales for IMAX, Star Wars The Force Awakens has sold over $6.5 million. Yesterday, we told you that online ticket sales giant Fandango claimed that Star Wars beat the opening day pre-sale record, formerly held by the most recent Hunger Games film, by more than 8 times that. And now our friends at AMC Theaters are saying that Star Wars The Force Awakens has beat their previous single-day ticket sales record by more than 10 times the previous amount. John, with all this new info and AMC's new totals, how much do you think Star Wars The Force Awakens will make opening weekend?
I think there's a big risk here of brushing over how significant these numbers we're hearing thrown at us are. Look, let's put this in perspective. I remember a few months back, it might have been like a February or something. Some movie came out, broke the February record. Like the previous record was like 61 million, and something came out and demolished that record with like 85 million, right? That we consider that demolishing a previous record. We're talking about not doubling, not tripling, not quadrupling. Like from Fandango's point of view, 8 times the previous record. AMC Theaters is saying 10 times the most that's ever been done. I think the record, forgive me for I don't know my NBA history. Well, I know my NHL history. The record in the NHL for the most points ever scored in a game is 10 by Darryl Sittler. Now, of the Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way. Anyway, that's the record. No one's ever come close to that. I mean, that's just the record beyond records. No one's ever come close to 10 points in a game. Darryl Sittler did it. That's like somebody then coming out tomorrow and getting 100 points in one day. These numbers are these are fairy tale numbers. These are absolutely fairy tale numbers.
Appropriate.
If you had, appropriate. If you had told me, no matter how big of a Star Wars fan I am or anything like that, I don't think the most optimistic of fans, if you said it's going to beat the previous single day record of pre-sales at AMC by 10 times, not by 10%, not by 1,000%. It's going to beat, the IMAX records by more than 6.5 times. It's going to beat the Fandango record by more than 8 times. Even the most optimistic of Star Wars fans, okay, settle down there, Haas. Just sit down for a second. It'll beat the records, but come on. This is astounding. So I said this on yesterday's show. I'm going to say it again. My previous prediction for Star Wars opening weekend, understanding that the existing December record is, I think, is 78 million.
86.
Is it 8? Oh yeah, it was 78.
right.
Got beat
Yeah.
to 86 million. I think the highest I went before was 170. That's the highest I was willing to go before. I am now going to, and in yesterday's show I said it, I'll say it again. I'm going to go 250. I think this is going to be a new record that will not even be looked at for a long, long, long time. Then, funny enough, I think CNBC, their financial shows on last night, and they predicted 251. So these are numbers like we will never see again. Like this is like once in a lifetime kind of stupid numbers. Anyway, Kristian, you see these numbers, these facts coming out. What does this do to your predictions?
Well, first of all, and I was talking about this with Schnepp before we started filming here, is that this is how brilliant of a marketing campaign of what they've done so far with this movie. Because where I was, it was an event, man. It was like going, like a hot band was playing. People it was like Wall Street. I got 3 tickets. I got 4. People are screaming and yelling. People who normally wouldn't even want to see Star Wars because it's starting to become like this thing. And we are that kind of culture that what's the hot thing? Everyone's talking about Star Wars. I got to get tickets too. If it's hot, it's hot. That's the non-fans. And then the fans are buying tickets on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. It's crazy the amount, the 10 times. I wouldn't even predict that. And you talk about the most optimistic fans. I think I'm one of them. And I have been saying for the longest time, because of weather and because of Christmas and because of the record, that I think it's going to have a very, very solid opening at like 195. And I am
And I thought you were crazy then. I thought you were being way too optimistic at 195.
And I'll tell you what, though. I am not going to stick with that number. I am going to go way over, and I'm going to say about 240 now, because Jurassic World, had they done this 2 months, wouldn't have done these numbers. No way.
No,
not these numbers.
No.
And they were, and I know that granted it was in July or June, whenever it came out, and it was able to make those numbers. But this is something else. This is a tsunami waiting to hit, and we can predict it, and we know that it's coming, and it's going to really cause. This movie is going to be massive. But I do think it can happen again with Episode 8.
No. Like, you think Episode 8 is going to come out and beat the now new Star Wars record by,
you mean by
selling 10
No,
times more?
no.
See, that's
no,
the point.
no,
That's the
no.
thing. Like, that's why I keep harping on this. Like, seriously, remember this day. This is something we're never going to see this again.
Right.
You are never ever going to see
Joe
this again.
DiMaggio's record.
Yeah, like this is like one of those moments. It's like, I remember back when that Star Wars thing came and it beat the existing record by 10 times, by 8 times, in IMAX by 6.5 times. This is something really special that we are proud. And by the way, like the place to see Star Wars, I'm going to see it at the Dolby Cinema at AMC Prime on the Thursday night. But I mean, everybody pretty much knows the place to see a Star Wars premiere clearly is the Chinese. I mean, that's the place to see it. I saw on Craigslist that this was going around the social media. Somebody got 2 tickets to the Chinese one. They're selling it for $2,500.
Good Lord.
For a movie that's going to be playing again the next day.
Right.
For a movie. I mean, I haven't seen people scalping movie tickets before. This is
Someone
crazy.
wants to pay that ridiculous amount. That's
Right.
their loss. Yeah.
No, I talked him down to $2,400
All
just
right,
to be
smart.
fair to myself.
Hey, I was going to say
Yeah.
it's worth $2,000. I predicted a $200 million
You
way
did.
long
Yeah.
ago.
You
I'm just
did.
saying, because the reason I ever even felt that, I in no way, shape, or form thought it would sell 10 times the amount. That is truly a phenomenon. That's the perfect storm. But it's this kind of mixture of both nostalgia and the fantasy realization of the truth of seeing Han Solo and Princess Leia. For all of us who grew up with Star Wars, to see those iconic characters in a Star Wars movie again and done right. This doesn't feel like it's going to be like the Phantom Menace. This actually feels like it's going to be a continuation of the original Star
what we
Wars
loved,
trilogy.
right.
Yeah, what we all loved. And with that, and with the trailers that they've dropped, everything just keeps building. So that phenomena that we're all feeling right now, hopefully it pays off with the film, and the film is fantastic.
Right.
I'm feeling it'll be pretty fantastic. So I think that, they're going to have to build more theaters. I mean, it's literally, there can be no films playing besides Star Wars and maybe one Meryl Streep film. You know what I mean? It's literally just like one independent, under $500,000 film, independent release, and all the rest should be Star Wars for that weekend, because that's how many people want to see it.
You say that, and I would not be surprised if that actually does happen.
I'm
Where
only
you're-
half
you're-
joking.
No, they are. Look,
Yeah.
remember when Avengers, the first Avengers film opening. I remember we were at the AMC Burbank 16 getting ready to see it and cover it because we did some video shots from out there. And remember, it was going to be playing in 5 of the 16 theaters. By 9 o'clock, because the first screenings were at midnight. This is back when they still had their first screenings at midnight. At 9 o'clock, they expanded it to 7 theaters. By 10 o'clock, they expanded it to 10 theaters. And by the time 11 o'clock came around, every single theater in the 16.
This is Ultron, or this is the first one?
This is the first Avengers was booked. I think we are clearly going to see this happen because now 2 months in advance, like AMC's reported, already 1,000 screenings in the first 12 hours.
Wow.
1,000 screenings in the first 12 hours were already sold out. Wow. You're going to see theaters across this country adding more and more and more, to the point that you're right. Like Alvin and the Chipmunks has moved its release date to opening of stars. There might not be any room at the end. You're sleeping in the manger.
That's what I'm saying. You still think that was a good move by Alvin?
Yes.
Really?
Counter programming. Yep.
I think a week later, especially now, they're going to get buried.
Yeah, buried.
I got to ask Sinead this, though. So, Sinead, let's say this. Let's say you're married or you're living with your boyfriend. You have a joint bank account, whatever. And your guy comes home and he says, honey, just so you know, I just spent $2,500 for us to go see Star Wars on opening night at the Chinese. Your reaction?
I'd kick his ass. $2,500. Like, let's be real. We will be able to see that movie. Everyone will get a chance to see the movie.
But I gotta admit, even I'm like, for opening night
Don't
at the
do it,
Chinese.
John.
The big twist that it's actually George Lucas selling the tickets.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
As many of you know, it was recently announced that a sequel to Tom Cruise's film Jack Reacher was going to happen. And now it is a sure thing. Yesterday, Paramount Pictures announced that Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, has officially started shooting in New Orleans and is set for release on October 21st, 2016. The new film is said to be based on author Lee Child's 18th book in the best-selling Jack Reacher series, Never Go Back. Schnepp, with the film now in production, are you looking forward to Jack Reacher, Never Go Back?
I certainly am. I didn't realize there were like 17 other Jack Reachers, so they could really mine the heck out of this series if they wanted to. I'm looking forward to it. I actually really thought Jack Reacher was a really fun movie. It was a different kind of role for Tom Cruise, who's like, it was different from his Mission Impossible character. So, and I had a lot of fun. I love Werner Herzog as a crazy villain. So Jack Reacher did it for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing another tale with this character.
I could watch Werner Herzog all day. Just sit there, talk about. There's still that poker movie you got to see me in. Every day I must kill one animal with my bare hands. I love Werner Herzog. I really like the original Jack Reacher. I thought the very ending of the film was weak. I thought it ended a bit on a fizzle, but I had such a good time up to that point. You're right. Even though you think he's kind of a spy guy who's in action films, it's the same as Mission Impossible. It's not. It's very different from Mission Impossible, and he is a very different type of character. I thought the fight sequences were great.
Sure.
I even liked the damn bathroom scene with the Russian Three Stooges. I even thought that scene was pretty fun. I had a good time with it. His collaboration with Christopher McQuarrie, of course. I'm really stoked. I'm glad it's shooting, because even though they said it's happening, I got to admit there was a part of me that thought, yeah, they're saying it, but Cruise is so hot right now. I had a feeling something bigger, better, whatever is going to come along, and he was going to drop it, much like he was supposed to be in Man from U.N.C.L.E., and then Mission Impossible popped up with the funding, and he dropped out. I thought he was going to drop out, but now they're shooting. I'm a very happy guy. What do you think?
I didn't love the first Jack Reacher, but I actually am excited about a second one and I believe McQuarrie's coming back, right?
I think so.
To do it.
Yes, I believe it. Yeah.
So that, because of what they've done since, and I hope, from what the books were, from everything that I've heard, I haven't actually read any of the books, but I have a bunch of friends who have read them, and the tone was a bit different from the book and the movie. And I thought the Three Stooges thing to me was too goofy for me, and it came out of left field, but there were parts of it that I really liked, and I want to see this team up between McQuarrie and Cruise again, because they're working well together, and I want and if Cruise believes in this is another guy. We've said this on this show many times about Cruise. He is one of you don't ever see him phone anything in, and this is with his performances, this is with his producing. If he is going to commit to Jack Reacher 2, he's going to commit 110%. So I'm very curious to see what they do with this new one.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Sinead's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. And those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Sinead, what do we got?
A brand new trailer for the upcoming Jennifer Lawrence film Joy has hit the web. Joy is the wild story of a family across 4 generations, centered on the girl who becomes the woman who founds a business dynasty and becomes a matriarch in her own right. Betrayal, treachery, the loss of innocence, and the scars of love pave the road in this intense, emotional, and human comedy about becoming a true boss of family and enterprise facing a world of unforgiving commerce. Allies become adversaries and adversaries become allies, both inside and outside the family, as Joy's inner life and fierce imagination carry her through the storm she faces. Christian, do you buy or sell the new trailer for Joy?
I buy it, and it's funny that you had mentioned before, John, with Jane Got a Gun, how it was that movie looked like it was trying to be a Tarantino movie a bit. I think this movie and this last 2 David O. Russell films, this looked almost like a Scorsese movie. The music, like everything they were using, the use of De Niro and the way that they used him, it felt like a Scorsese homage again. And I don't necessarily know if David O. Russell needs to do that because his style is his style, and I really have enjoyed what he's done in the past. I didn't love Silver Linings Playbook, but he works really well with Jennifer Lawrence. He works really well with Bradley Cooper and even De Niro in the last 2 movies. So this movie, to me, what I really liked was, and you hear that in the synopsis of what Sinead was saying there, the mixture of being family and business, and even that last scene, which I really loved, to where the slow delivery by Jennifer Lawrence was like, "Don't ever address me about my," and you're thinking this is like a mother protecting her cub, business again, like that.
It reminded me of Michael Corleone talking to his wife.
Yeah.
Ever get involved in my business again?
That's right. Felt like it was a it felt like that, and I want to see, and Jennifer Lawrence has the strength to pull that role off. I like that kind of different, disheveled look of Bradley Cooper, and De Niro cracking some really funny lines out there. This movie seems like a movie that it might be Oscar bait, but it's also a movie that it's tailor made for me. I'm big buy.
Shockingly, I'm going to sell it. I felt it was flat. I felt like it was just, I got nothing out of the trailer. I mean, that one De Niro line, though, about like you're a gas leak, that was a funny moment. I got that. And I also love that delivery of that line at the end about don't ever speak to me in matters of business again or speak on my behalf. Right. Very good line. But the rest of it was just, I found it very monotone. I found the trailer very monotone, to be honest with you, and it did nothing to amp my excitement. Now, granted, I'm one of these guys that I'm already excited to see the movie because the collaboration of all these people together has already worked out pretty well. I also think Silver Lining Playbook was a little bit overrated. I also thought American Hustle was a little bit overrated.
Did I say Silver Linings Playbook was overrated?
You did.
Oh no, I
meant American Hustle.
I meant American Hustle. I actually loved Silver Linings Playbook.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Silver Linings Playbook very much, but I did not think it was an Oscar kind of movie.
I love that one
myself. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I thought everything this group has done together has been solid. Really solid. And I think Jennifer Lawrence is like going to be one of the elite for the next 10, 20 years. So I'm excited to see the movie, but I got to say, this trailer didn't do anything to help that enthusiasm, so I'm going to sell it.
I hate to say I'm going to sell it too. I felt the same way. The trailer was a bit flat for me. And I loved Silver Linings Playbook, and I also loved American Hustle, so I'm sort of like, maybe it was just the way it was cut together, like going over time and the different scenarios. It just, nothing hit me or grabbed me into wanting to see the film yet, so I'm still going to see it. I'm sure I'll see it because I trust all the actors and the director, but as far as the trailer, I'm going to sell it.
All right, what's next?
Kingsman: The Secret Service was a surprise global hit earlier this year, taking in over $413 million worldwide. As a result, it was no surprise when reports emerged that a sequel would be on the way. Now comes word that Kingsman 2 has a release date. According to reports, 20th Century Fox has set a release date of June 16th, 2017. The date will put the sequel up against another sequel, Pixar's Cars 3. John, do you buy or sell the release date for Kingsman 2?
I sell it. They're making the same mistake Alvin and the Chipmunks going against a monster. No, I buy it. This is great. And especially considering the Kingsman was a February release, the original one. And I like going into the summer with it. That shows a lot of confidence in the film. But I got to admit, even though I'm buying it, I buy the move. Part of me is like, man, you kicked ass in February. Right. Just own it. Own February and keep kicking ass in February. But I understand the move to making it a summer release. I totally do. I'm going to buy it. Man, you know what? I don't know. We've run out of descriptive words to talk about what we thought about Kingsman. It was such a pleasant surprise to me. I love that film. And if I didn't already think, if you'd asked me at the time, I would have said, Colin Firth, I think is one of the underrated, because I think he's in the top 7, 8 best actors in the business. But I don't know that the dude could ever do comedy. I don't know how or he could ever do action. I don't think he's that diverse. Yeah, that dude can do action, and he pulled it off so great. I'm excited for the movie. Even though I wish they kind of kept it in February. I buy the move to a summer release. What do you think?
Yeah, I buy it too. I mean, the only thing I don't buy is the rumors that they're going to have Colin Firth back, which kind of is like, unless it's in a flashback way.
Let's not say much.
Okay,
Easy.
right. Well, you should have seen Kingsman. Is all I'm going to say. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Kingsman too. I loved it. It was a surprise hit for me. I saw it like 3 times in the theater. So much fun. So that they're moving forward with a sequel to something that's not like a, like a Batman or, an X-Men, something like this, where it made enough money where they're like, look, let's do it again.
Over $400 million.
It made quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Can I sell Cars 3? No.
Yes.
No. But I will. Yeah, I'll buy the release date. But I'm very scared of this movie. Look, I loved Kingsman. I mean, you guys know I've been raving about this movie since it came out. Matthew Vaughn's not directing it.
I have not heard him confirm that.
Really?
I have not heard. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was still a possibility. You could be right.
I thought I heard he wasn't directing it, and that was a movie that was clearly. It was a great movie all the way around, and Colin Firth was amazing in it. But that movie was as good as it was because of the directing style of Matthew Vaughn. And we saw it suffer in Kick-Ass 2. Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2, there's no comparison. The first one is far superior. And he will be missed. And he was the championing, getting that made with Millar. And yeah, it scares me. The June release, I get. It makes sense. The studios are going to capitalize on the $400 million opening and put it. It's a commodity. So, but yeah, I really hope that either they bring him back or he's such. What are we? Even strange comparison here, but with Magic Mike 2, right? Remember we even said that Steven Soderbergh was going to be on set. And he was going to be the director of photography, so he almost would be kind of like a director. That movie suffered from not having him as the director in the actual chair. So it makes me nervous.
All right, what's next?
It looks like director Edgar Wright has added another big name to his upcoming film, Baby Driver. According to Variety, Mad Men actor Jon Hamm has signed on for the film, joining Cinderella's Lily James, Jamie Foxx, and Divergent's Ansel Elgort. Baby Driver focuses on a young man called Baby, called that because of his youthful face, who works as a getaway driver for different bank robbers. One day he gets into trouble when a bank robbery goes wrong, putting him on the run from various parties. Schnepp, do you buy or sell the addition of Jon Hamm to Baby Driver?
Totally buy it. I am looking so forward to Baby Driver. It seems like it's going to capitalize on all of the things that Edgar Wright is so great at as a director, and also all the things that he's great at as a writer. So the cast is amazing, and it just keeps getting better. Adding Jon Hamm, I don't know what he's going to play. It sounds like he might be one of those people that Baby drives for.
Yeah.
So I hope it's an all-star cast, and I can't wait to see this film. I just wish it was out tomorrow so I could see it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it too, but not because I really like Jon Hamm, although I do. But I remember once about a year ago, a couple friends of mine, we were talking about the Edgar Wright thing because it was still a hot topic about Edgar Wright not directing Ant-Man. Right. And the conversation turned around about what actor who hasn't been in an Edgar Wright film do you think would work? And I said, I think Jon Hamm would work really well with Edgar Wright's style. I think that would be a good match. And then here we are about a year later, and here he is. So what can I do? I have to buy it. I think it sounds great.
Yeah, that's why I was going to buy it as well, too, because I think he fits perfect with Edgar Wright's style. And I also think, Schnepp, you're right. I think he'll be one of the people that Baby is working for. And Jon Hamm in those situations, I mean, it's like I think a more heightened, animated version of kind of what he did maybe, although he was a cop in the town, but he was still on the hunt for Ben Affleck in that one too. So to see him in an Edgar Wright version of that, and it's like to see what Edgar Wright would do with the Transporter movie, really.
Yes.
That's kind of what it is as well too. So yeah, big buy.
All right, what's next?
Actress-comedian Amy Schumer is still basking in the unexpected success of her comedy Trainwreck from earlier this year, which made around $138 million worldwide. According to a story in The Hollywood Reporter, Schumer made around $300,000 for her role in the film. And now it looks like she's getting a massive raise for her next project. According to the report, Schumer is going to be making between $4 and $5 million to star in a 20th Century Fox mother-daughter comedy to be directed by Jonathan Levine, who helmed such films as Warm Bodies and 50-50. The story also claims that Schumer originally asked for $10 million for the film, which Fox rejected. Schnepp, do you buy or sell that Fox should have given Schumer the $10 million she asked for?
I'm going to say Fox should have given her the money. So I buy that Fox should have given her the $10 million, that they were able to get her for $5 million. Look, $5 million is a lot of money. But if you look at Amy Schumer, who was paid $300,000 and then kind of made the studio $130 million, you know, for whatever that film Trainwreck cost, maybe it cost $30 million, $40 million. It's quite a high profit, you know, zone for the star of the film. So if she's going to star in this next film, she's kind of asking for what she deserves. And I feel like maybe her second film out, they're like, look, we're not going to give you $10 million. What about $5 million? Then the third film will give you $10 million. So it's probably one of those deals where you always have to do negotiations, but she's definitely worth $30 million. So I think Amy Schumer is incredible. So
I sell it hard. I'm sorry. Like, does she deserve a pay raise from $300,000? Yes, absolutely she does. I don't even know that I would have given her $5 million. I'm sorry, you've done one movie. You did one movie that made $138 million, maybe cleared about 30 or 40 million for the studio. Awesome, well done. One movie. $10 million? Put Amy Schumer into that league of the elite in the top 5 highest paid actresses in the business off one movie that only made $138 million?
Sure.
Oh my God, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. You've got to have a little bit better of a track record than one movie. Maybe that one movie made $500 million worldwide. Maybe if that one movie, then you can talk about $5, $6, $7, $8 million for the second one. But by a lot of movie standards, $138 million would have been considered a flop. Now, fortunately, this is a comedy. Yeah, it's a comedy, but I mean, it was one. Let's see if people actually want to go back and see you again. Let's see a little bit of a track record. Right. Do you earn the raise? Absolutely. I would have 10 times to raise to maybe 3, maybe 4. I think 5 is high, but I understand maybe going with 5. Maybe they went as high as 5 to invest, to show a little bit of good faith in her. So if it does hit with the second one, right, then they have a good relationship.
Or it could be 5 with some back end.
Yeah,
maybe. Maybe they didn't
maybe
discuss what the final deal is. I see what you're saying, but in the same breath, that's her very first movie, and she broke out with such an incredible amount of money. Look at The Mask, or look at what was Jim Carrey's very first movie.
Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura.
How much did that make?
I can look.
And then
that
how
up.
much did he command for his next movie? $20 million. And that was like 20 years ago. So I think, you know, women are trying to get what men get, and I think they should. When they make a studio $130 million, and they're going to open the second film,
but she
they
didn't make
deserve
them
it.
130 million. She made them maybe 30 million after marketing and the theaters keep their cut.
They made
and the
$30 million
yeah.
on her very first movie. And guess what? All those people who are going to see that movie that she's in the second movie are going to go because of her, because she's a big name now. She wasn't even a big name when Trainwreck came out. She was a star of her own TV show. Now she's a movie star.
10 million though, that's putting you into the Angelina Jolie money range. That's putting you into the Jeremy Renners. That's putting you into the Bradley Coopers. That's putting you. I don't see after one movie. It's just not enough to me.
I sell it big. I think that 10 million is insane. I think that the thing with. The other thing with this first movie, Trainwreck, it had the Apatow name with it. It had, LeBron James was in there, and yes, now he's a big actor, but he's a name, and he had all these. She had a lot of talent to get the movie in there. Now, look, I was a person that didn't want to see the movie Trainwreck, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I thought, and I'm not a big fan.
I really liked it
and
too.
I'm not a big fan
really
of hers,
good.
and I thought she was great in the movie, and I thought the writing was great. But I also agree with John's sentiments that it's after your first movie, it's like, okay, you delivered. You delivered big. So let's give you, and I agree with what you said, Schnepp. It's like, let's give you this 5 here, and then let's see what we can do on our second project, or on this next project. Let's see what you can do. And the fact that she's working with Levine, I think, is a good move for her, because I like the she can dramatically act as well too, because she showed that in Trainwreck. I want to see that kind of mixture from her. But to give someone 10 million, because if it fails on the second shot, it's a big loss for the studio as well too, because the movie 133 or 130, whatever, how much money the movie made, Trainwreck, it wasn't enough to, I think, because Ace Ventura, if we're going to compare those two movies, that was a movie where Jim Carrey just kind of came from In Living Color, didn't have an appetite, didn't have anyone, and just blew up in this one particular character and was a big comedic force. I also feel that Amy Schumer could become a Dane Cook if she's not careful. Because Dane Cook started getting all this money and then just started doing all these movies, and then he doesn't have any deals anymore too, because she's overexposed too, because that's the one thing female or not female, you have the chance of getting overexposed as comedians for sure. Oh, this is the next funny person. Look. Right. She wasn't that great on Saturday Night Live, by the way. She just and that wasn't her.
No, she actually wasn't very good on Saturday Night.
No,
I'm a big fan of hers, but
me
she
too.
wasn't good on
That wasn't her thing, so that could be a little risky too. If you're watching, well, they didn't really love her on Saturday Night Live, and then they're putting her everywhere. So I would say I think 5 is generous. I think 5 is to say, what can you do now? If this movie delivers the same way Trainwreck did, and then you can get into the conversation about 8-10 million a movie. And to be fair, in the reports that she's asking for 10 million, it's her team and her agents and everything too, to where it's saying, look, Amy, we're going to try to get you this because of all the exposure you have too. And good for them for trying.
I have no problem with a star asking for it. I got no problem. Ask for 20 million and see what you get. I mean, it's not up to you what they say yes to. Just make the ask. Yeah. I have zero problem with her asking for $10 million. I would have a problem with Fox saying yes to $10 million, but whatever.
Well, I mean, you end up getting an Avengers Infinity Wars where $500 million is the budget for each of the films, and of that $500 million, $250 million is paying the stars. That's how much just to get the cast together.
Right.
They've got
but
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Of the cast.
No, it's insane. It's an insane cast. I'm just saying, when you have one person who's asking for that amount of money that possibly could make another $150 million off the next comedy, I don't think it's that much of an ask.
But that's the thing, though. It's a risk, though. Right. There's less of a risk with the Avengers here because they know that they're probably they're going to make that back. With
they have
Amy,
a track record.
Right. Now, if that's why I'm saying, if Amy Schumer now on her second movie, this movie crushes, then her whole team has, look what we've done. Twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Twice now we've done this. We deserve 10 million. That's a better argument of saying, because the studio can go, well, look, a lot of people have done really well in their first movie. Here's 5 million. Do it again.
I agree. I'm sure they did something with 5 and then some back end.
Yeah.
I just think there's a saying that goes for both the good and the bad. Once is a fluke, twice is a pattern. That means if you had a really bad day, fluke. If you had 2 in a row, pattern. And I think the same thing. I think the studios want to be very careful about what kind of deals they start handing out, especially after one movie. That Chris Hemsworth's first lead film was Thor. That made almost $400 million as opposed to whatever. So, and even then they were a little bit apprehensive. Let's see how the people still like you moving forward. And now he's getting paid because
he had Black Hat and some other things.
Right, it didn't do right.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And comedies are tough. Like how many great comedies can you from the last 5 years can you count out? Maybe 5. I mean, there's how many great comedies. It's hard to bank on comedy stars right now.
Right.
All right, folks. Well, listen. It is Wednesday, which means it's time to us to feel a little bit old and talk about Rewind, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. This is the segment where we look at the films celebrating their 10th anniversary this week and the films celebrating their 20th anniversary. Let's start with the films turning 10 years old this week. The classic The Rock, Carl Urban, the ultimate video game movie Doom. We've got Stay, North Country, and Dreamer, inspired by a true story. And going into the films, turning 20 years old today, I cannot believe this.
Wow.
Get Shorty turns 20 years old. Mallrats turns 20 years old. Never Talk to Strangers, and Now and Then. I still can't believe Mallrats is 20 years old and Get Shorty. Anyway, Schnepp, you see these big list of movies celebrating birthdays, these significant birthdays. Which films stand out to you?
Well, definitely of the Doom stands out just because it had the very first person, 5-minute, walk around from a gun POV perspective. Not so good of a film. Early on, I think The Rock was the main star. It was one of his first, breakouts from wrestling. So it's not really that great of a film. The ones that really stand out to me are the 20-year-olders. Get Shorty and Mallrats. Yeah. Those are both incredibly fun films for different reasons. Get Shorty was just a great film just in general. Gene Hackman, you got Danny DeVito, John Travolta, all just mobsters coming into the film business. And then Mallrats, just incredible. Just Stan Lee, those questions what is, Jason, what's his name again?
Mewes?
No,
Lee.
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. So much fun as the extra nerdy comic book guy.
Brody.
I'm so excited that they're doing Mallrats 2. It's a perfect time to do Mallrats 2.
Christian?
You go 10 years ago, and I agree. Doom, because I still am a big Rock fan and the movie was terrible, but even the ending of it, you're like, wait, what? But it's still because Doom was that game that everyone talked about.
We all played Doom.
Yeah. So when you were hoping back then that Doom was the one that started the video game craze, it didn't. And now the 20 years, I agree with Schnepp 100%. Is the two would be Get Shorty and Mallrats. Get Shorty was a movie to me that it was the resurgence of John Travolta again too. It was during that wave, right after Pulp Fiction, about a year later or whatever, and it delivered. It was just he was doing hit after Pulp Fiction, and that was one of them. And Mallrats is one of my favorite comedies. Like I listed him like my top 20 comedies. I love that movie. It's classic Kevin Smith writing. I remember seeing it in the theater, falling in love with it, and then I still, even the nonsense of "tell him Steve Dave," it doesn't make any sense. I love it so much. And Jason Lee has to come back. I think he is as Brody, and if he's working in the mall, that'd be great.
You gotta get Ben Affleck back for that too. I mean, there's some great scenes between
Shannon Doherty too.
Shannon Doherty, but there's some great scenes between Jason Lee and Affleck in that film. Yeah, Doom, man. I remember being so stoked for Doom because I played Doom a lot, and I loved Carl Urban, and I loved The Rock. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, so bad. And I got it. They were the first movies to do. We're gonna do it like the video games, first person. And I'm watching. I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad. It was so awful. North Country is a film that I think deserves to be talked about a little bit more. I thought that was a really strong turn for everybody involved with it. I love that movie. It stays with me. I watched it again just a couple of years ago, and it's done well. But yeah, man, Mallrats and Get Shorty. And it's really surprising. The Get Shorty is now at the age where I'm meeting, because like 6-7 years ago, everybody had seen Get Shorty. And now there are people I talk to that haven't seen Get Shorty. And if you have not seen Get Shorty, you should totally go and watch Get Shorty. All right, folks, it's now that time of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. So, Sinead, what's in the mailbag today?
Daniel Alvarado writes, "Hey guys, I love this show. I watch it every day after I come home from work. Do you guys think that Disney and Marvel will release the official trailer for Captain America Civil War during the premiere of Star Wars The Force Awakens?"
I don't think so. I think around that time, I think that's the right time period. If you were to ask me, do you think they'll drop the trailer for Captain America Civil War around Christmas, around December? I would say yes. But gone are the days when any of us get excited or talk about, or it's a news item that which movie will this trailer premiere in front of? Because trailers don't premiere in front of movies anymore. They premiere online. Unless you're Star Wars. Yeah. Unless you're Star Wars and Disney, which owns ESPN, which runs Monday Night Football, decides let's put it on make a big event out of it and whatever. But gone are the days of, man, I got to go see that movie now because I heard. Will the trailer for if the Captain America trailer drops like in December sometime, let's say early December, will it play in front of Star Wars? Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say that they would. But will it debut in front of in front of Star Wars? I don't think it will, because I think those days are gone. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think that as far as the debut goes for that particular movie, it'll debut online, but I do think that it's going to debut the week of. So whatever that is, the Tuesday, the 15th, whatever day that is, it'll debut that morning online, and then when you go see Thursday night at Force Awakens, you're going to see it. It would make sense for them because it's still a promotion to people that aren't checking out trailers online, that are seeing it for the first time and check it out and see. Why wouldn't you promote Civil War? Because I think Civil War comes out in May. It does, right?
May 6th.
Is it May or July?
May 6th.
It's May. Okay, so if it comes out in May, then it's only 5 months away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's frosting on the cake. If it plays in front of Star Wars, it's just like awesome. You get to see Civil War. I mean, I don't think Star Wars needs any boost at this point. Help for ticket sales, as we obviously can see that it's crashing the internet. So, yeah, you're right. It's going to play online. I mean, would it be cool to hey, it's premiering, especially on the Force Awakens, and then they drop it that same night? Whatever, we're all going to be seeing Force Awakens. So,
all the tickets are already sold out. It's not like they're going to get anybody to buy more tickets to go see it.
In fact, it would hinder them. You can't see it. We want to actually have everyone see it. So it'll probably drop maybe the day before the Force Awakens or something.
All right. And hey, guys, I just want to let you know, too, before we sign off here, a little while ago we mentioned a great giveaway happening at Collider.com. You can get your hands on one of the brand new model MacBook that they just put out that's kind of revolutionizing the style of laptops right now. Hey, we're going to put a link in the description of this video so you can head over to Collider.com and see how you can get in to win that MacBook from Collider.com. Go and check that out. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting over here on my left, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp and at TDOSLWH. This coming weekend is going to be Stan Lee's Kamikaze. It's not this weekend, the following weekend. And we're doing a very special Collider movie talk there on Sunday at 3 p.m. And we're going to be in the same room. We're following the Schmoes Know panel. So you guys can get like 3 to 4 hours of sweaty goodness if you show up at Stan Lee's Kamikaze and bring a bunch of questions, and we'll all be there. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Sitting over here on my right, Mr. Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram. And a lot of people have been asking me, because we did our special Jedi Council on Monday night, and a lot of you, thank you for everybody who watched, and we were saying, are you still doing one on Thursday? Absolutely. We're doing another episode of Jedi Council tomorrow. Make sure you check that out. # Collider Jedi Council. We'll try to get some of your questions on the air. And like Schnepp said, come check us out at Kamikaze on November 1st. We'll be doing one from 1 to 3, and then we'll jump right over and we'll be in the Collider Movie Talk.
And of course, our lovely host today, Miss Sinead DeFries. Sinead, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Sinead DeFries and at that'ssosinead.com.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, simply at Jon Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. And a special thank you to all of you guys who were watching us live today and participating in the chat board. We're testing out doing these shows live again. Let us know in the comment section if you watched it live. And if you did, what you think about us doing live. Does it work? Does it not work? We want to know your thoughts. So that'll do it for us, guys. Special thanks to Wendy and Dennis behind the scenes. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, bye-bye.